What's up, everybody? It's Chad. We're back again with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. We're live on Twitch, and we're also going to be here on YouTube tomorrow on the edited side. So if you're on Twitch, welcome and thank you. I'm here today with Jason from Gnomad over in Eastern New Mexico. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure. Appreciate you having us on today.
Of course, man. And I got all the cool stuff behind you. So, obviously he's from Gnomad Cannabis. And so we'll get the whole introduction for that in a second. I just want to get you guys up to date what we're going to be talking about today. Of course, we're going to talk about Jason, Gnomad, and of course what they're going to with their journey and everything. And then we're actually going to go down and talk about the overabundance or the over inspections that they've been doing. There's the overabundance of them going on. So we're going to kind of talk about that, some other things that go with it. And then I'm going to give you guys the update for the DEA cannabis hearing that's going on right now until July 15th. That one shouldn't be too long because we're like day 2-3 into this. They're having a hearing right now, so I don't know what the update will be today. So next week you'll get the Wednesday update, but I think today or tomorrow's the last day because they're taking a break for the 4th of July and the 250th celebrations going on around the nation.
Lazy asses.
I know government doesn't get a break. What the hell? We're going to be talking about all that good stuff. And so with that being said, Jason, thank you so much for joining me. And if you could, for my listeners and audience, could you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Jason Emmerich. I'm from Gnomad Canico. We're down here in Hobbs. We've got a few grows and we're vertically integrated. We do our own packaging, labeling, stickering, manufacturing. Kind of a one-off shop down here. Yeah. Born and raised in this area. It's a pretty nice spot to collect on a lot of these Texas people coming over and taking advantage of some good fire, of course. And it's been a real blessing to get into this industry, and get into the retail space and start to meet all these people that are really, really reaching out and needing some help in the medical area and different elements that they walk into the doors with and being able to open up and help them. It's a blessing.
Definitely, and yeah, you guys, definitely have a benefit of being close to Texas and everything. I mean, I know those customers appreciate you guys too, because, a lot of those people coming over have medical cards from Texas or, they're using it medicinally in some way. So it's not all just recreational. So, you guys are helping not just New Mexicans out, but Texans and, of course, anybody with a medical cannabis card, or anybody that comes to New Mexico, really, which is nice about, the adult use market, is we can help anybody else that help anybody that walks into the doors that, come into New Mexico. And if you have a medical cannabis card from another state, you don't pay the taxes. So, that's like another benefit of something that we did. And not many states actually have done that. I was stationed in Hawaii for a while, and they have reciprocity, but you still pay the state taxes. It's just what you do is you sign up there, you pay like a $50 fee, and then you just won't get like any charges or anything like that when it comes to the law. So it's like a get out of jail free card is essentially what it was when I was there. It was kind of silly. But man, welcome, and thank you so much for for sharing that and everything. We're gonna get to know Gnomad a little bit more. If you guys don't know who they are, if you're from the Eastern New Mexico side, you probably know who they are. How many shops do you guys actually have now?
We've got 3. We're looking at putting 3 more in now that all of our farms are up and operational at this point. We're looking at going ahead and expanding out into the retail area a little bit more.
Nice. So are you able to share what areas you're looking at?
Well, Clovis, Carlsbad, Jow. We're fixing to spread on down this border here. And we're looking at purchasing some properties and building some new buildings and really digging our feet in, making a good investment in those communities as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Jow's a tiny little place too, so that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a tough little spot down there. There's been so many people that closed, but we really feel like there's a spot to be had in there for some good quality products to be in there. Mom and pop shop again. I worked down in Jow a lot of my life in the oil field, and I swear to God, I wasn't going back, to be honest with you. But here we are. I get down there past Eunice a little ways, and my nerves start twitching. I want to go back home, but I think Jolly is going to be a good spot. Those people down at that southern part of Texas there really need that option. They don't have anything else without driving another 2.5 hours.
Yeah, or the hemp stuff right now, which we all know in Texas is a novella on its own, with what's going on down there. So, well, with that being said, with the oil stuff, let's get your background a little bit, if you don't mind. Where did this cannabis journey start for you, and what did you do before cannabis?
Well, I started with cannabis back in junior high, like a lot of us did, just enjoying it. And it was a great pastime going all the way through school. And then I broke out in the oil field, and I really enjoyed it. I got away from it for quite a few years. Of course, my mind was on businesses then. I started owning businesses at 24 and just really put a lot of focus into that. But as I spent all those years in the oil field, I really tore my body up. I've got burns on my arms from acid, and there's no telling everything that I've inhaled. And I've gone through a lot of different medical ailments here in the last few years that really tore my body up. And it's been tough, coming from the oil field and getting into this retail. It's a completely different breed of people. But this was able to put us back into a medical spot. I had a real big problem with drinking. It covered a lot of problems and things going through the oil field. That's just, I guess, what I thought everybody did. And towards the end of those years, I really wound up with some really bad ailments. And all they wanted to give us was more pills and more pills. And, I think by the time I'd given up on the doctors, they had me up to 14 pills. And I finally told my wife, I'm going to go to this thing, and I'm just going to go strictly cannabis from here on out, and gave up every bit of those pills moving forward. I went and learned how to grow professionally in Oklahoma. There was some OSU guys that were over there that came in and really taught our cannabis organization that was over. I was working with some oil field guys over there. They'd taken their money, built a really nice facility. When they got their license in, OSU botany guys come down and help them, since they were alumni, get an SOP together. I was able to go in and learn that SOP and bring it back down to New Mexico and really start to. It's a lot different, boy, growing down here and growing up there, with all the humidities and the heat. And then you get down here in this dry desert climate. So we spent years trying to figure out our feeding formulas and getting things where they needed to be. And as we started moving forward, we wound up winning the New Mexico Cannabis Cup.
Congrats.
Right when it went recreational. And that really kind of helped set us off. We were really excited to getting into growing, and we were growing some real fire. And back then, a lot of it was black market. And so we had a lot of healthy, happy customers running around. And as New Mexico come online, me and my wife have spent a lot of time traveling from, Vegas and Colorado and all the other states that were legal, and spent a lot of time punching numbers from what people's values were from the first of the year to 5 years later, to see how these industries come up and then fell on their face after 5 years.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of time traveling, running around, checking markets, working with different products, to where we finally came in over here, and we were looking at places to start growing. And it was almost this part of New Mexico, the oil field guys down here, they didn't want cannabis in the industry. They made it absolutely difficult to try to come in here and do any sort of building or farming or anything whatsoever. But Tatum come around, and the mayor had reached out and said, if you want to come down here, we could sure discuss something. And so we did. We went over, helped them get their rules, regulations, and bylaws and stuff set for the town, and moved forward. And they offered us a building over there. And next thing you know, we were in retail.
Yeah.
And that was not where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm an oil field guy, and so it was going to be a little tough to try and figure out how to make sellable things into a pretty little package for everybody.
Yeah.
My wife is an interior decorator, Amber. She's actually Gnomad solely owned, woman owned by her. She doesn't partake. She just strictly works on everything that you see, every graphic, every single bit of our products, all the packaging, everything comes from her mind, not AI. She stays up till 11 o'clock every single night, building graphics, building jars, building whatever goes on our social media platforms. Usually 99% of the time comes from her. But she does it all out of seeing what's happened to me over the years. Again, she's not a partaker. She doesn't by any means have anything to do with it, but she's seen what it's done for my health over all the years.
Yeah.
And with her support, of course, your wife is everything, trying to build something. We've just been able to turn this thing in with the passion of our employees, the compassion that we've all had together into, I think we're running around 50 employees now. And we
Nice.
haven't even tried to reach across the state or anything else. We've stayed over here to ourselves and really tried to build something that was solid and not just try to blow up and get in everybody's business.
Yeah, and when you told me you're pretty much staying strictly on eastern, part of New Mexico on that strip, that surprised me because most people, when they tell me they're going to move more into New Mexico, they're thinking Cruces, Salt Park, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, like those areas. So when you tell me eastern, and to be honest, I think it's a better idea than trying to get into a very, very saturated market like Albuquerque or Sunland Park, even here in Cruces. So, like staying in those cities on the eastern part of New Mexico, I think is great because, some people have folded just for the sole fact that they couldn't get their footing, and they couldn't figure things out. And, you guys have figured it out. So you're kind of like, well, might as well give it a shot since you guys, have a pretty good success now. And, congratulations on all the awards and, all the success forward so far and all that good stuff, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, heck yeah. So that's an interesting story and everything. I was going to also ask you, because I wondered this and I meant to ask this when I was there for that town hall. Where did Gnomad, the name, come from?
So I'm very nomadic. Like I told you a while ago, I really like to travel. And, my jobs, I'm buying equipment here, going there. I always make up something to have to cut across the continent for some reason, And so I love to go camping, hiking. I'm a real dirt bag. I could go up and just lay anywhere for the weekend with a backpack.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to lean towards the nomad deal. Well, growing up, my kids and me being in the garden, and of course, growing all those years, getting prepped up for recreational, my kids were in junior high and in high school going through. But as their younger years, they always told me I resembled a garden gnome. They made fun of me for being a garden gnome. And so as me and Amber laid in bed and we discussed what we were going to name this thing, that's what she came up with. The G.
Got it. Yeah. The beard doesn't help with it. The gnome thing. Yeah.
Well, usually I'm pretty bushy too, especially at the end of the year. I've got a pretty good old red beard going on. So, yes, sir.
He doesn't have the hat.
Are you technically the mascot?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I just fold it all right in together.
So you guys are fully vertically integrated, mascot and all.
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's been real fun putting this together. We've done everything with our hearts. This hasn't been anything we tried to just run out and impress people with. It's been things that have formed all the way to every employee we have in here has a story medically of why they're here. We didn't want somebody here that was looking just for strictly a job and trying to make money for their family that didn't do anything for us.
Yeah.
And so now when you can come in here and there's not a person that works for us, whether it be in the hash rosin, in the washing side, the grow side, the production side, any side, everybody here has a huge heart. Some of these girls here don't even need a job. We've got a couple right here in the room next to us. They don't even need a job. They didn't want a job.
Yeah.
They just needed something to do. And they love coming here. And so they're here at 5 o'clock in the morning back here packaging.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. The compassion that some of these people have. There's nothing, that just makes me drive harder. I'm not going to lie to you, to see people that want it that bad.
Yeah, no, definitely, because finding the right people to work with you is very important, especially, if you have a certain mission in mind, like getting just a person like, oh, I just need a job. That's great in providing jobs. But in the long term as a business and for that person, is that going to be really a good fit? You don't want to just have someone there just to be there. You want someone that's willing to learn, willing to show up on time, and also willing to work exactly how you want the business to go. If you just get someone who's just there, you're going to get the bare minimum, and they're just going to be like, well, yeah, I'll take the 30% because, okay, I just, whatever. They just told me to take 30%, to get the 30% THC out, or something like that. You get better work people. So that's great that you guys are really making it more about community all around versus just, get in, get out. Or some places, they just hire all the pretty girls and they, they focus on that and they solely rely on just the pretty factor to sell their cannabis, and by all means, do what you ever got to do as a business. But, I do respect that a little bit more, that you guys go over and beyond to make sure that you have the best customer service and people working for you. So that's great, man. And earlier he had mentioned, I guess we'll talk a little bit about, the growing stuff. I love growing, and without farmers, we wouldn't have any cannabis industry at all. And luckily you guys have a farm. So earlier you had mentioned that you're going to pick up a couple cattle today. What's their job at Gnomad, and will you allow the customers to name them?
Oh, yeah. This is something that's really kind of coming along. Again, we started this, so we've got a 5-year project. We're at the very end of this 5-year project, and we've got a growing Tatum, and we've got I don't know if you can see the Essentials over here. That's one of my good friends, and we do a lot of their greenhouse and their indoor grows over there. But we just bought a big farm here in Hobbs March of last year. And it was placed as actually like the 4th largest farm in New Mexico for a while. We got to getting working out there, and that soil is just not what we wanted. Of course, New Mexico soil down here is junk anyway, and I pretty much knew it. But we were going to do a lot of work on that outside and do everything in 100-gallon pots, and that's just not how I want to feed neither. And so we've started pulling that soil up, doing some soil testing, and got exactly what we thought. It's not what we want. And so this year, again, I'm not going to put a crop into the ground. We're going to do probably 300 or 400 in 100-gallon pots and mess with those for some washing. But right now what I've done is last year we ordered some cattle and brought them in, and we've got some of the highest bloodline genetic longhorns in the state of New Mexico. Honestly, we've been doing some breeding with those. I just ordered some more from some big auctions that are coming down with their babies. We just had 2 babies hit the ground, a bull and a heifer calf. And so we're using them and keeping them stockpiled up with the chickens and using them on top of their hay piles and grass hay as starting our compost. Yeah. And we've got huge piles started out to help get nutrients back into that 12 acres that's sitting over there that we need to work with. I've also got a really good friend that owns one of the biggest lawn maintenance companies here in Hobbs, and he comes over and dumps all of his grass clippings, wood chips, anything that goes. So we're really, really getting a huge compost pile. And we started it first of the year. We were afraid might have killed things off starting a little too early, but shoot, it was 40 degrees outside, and our compost piles were 160 degrees in February. Yeah. And so we're on fire over here. We're actually getting these things where they need to be. Our compost is burning up. We're fixing to start tilling it back into the ground. The new John Deere sitting out there with the new plows on it, and we're getting ready to start. I think they've already started turning dirt, to be honest with you. So we're super excited to use this to regenerative farming to get our soils back where we need without bringing in a bunch of useless amendments.
Yeah, definitely. Especially here in Cruces, we're pretty much just all sand. I don't know how the farmers do it out there because, where I'm from in Alamogordo, they actually had better soil in Alamogordo for some reason than, here in Cruces. So I get it. My backyard, I have a plot where I've had a garden for the past 10 plus years. I've had to work on that plot for 10 years to get it to where it is now, where it actually sustains life and, I don't have to feed it as much and, all this stuff. So I get it, man. I've had chickens and ducks and, all this other crap. And, it's great that you guys are doing it that way. That's the more naturalistic way, or I guess the living soil way, you're allowing the animals to come in to, do their thing and, you're building it up. So once you do finally get it built up, what is your plans to kind of keep remediating? Are you just going to allow after the harvest season to, animals to kind of get back out there or, what's your plan for that?
Really what we're doing, we're building this off on a separate area. So the farm is set up as a commercial area, of course, your licensed commercial area, but the agricultural side of this is set up on my farm on the outside of that. And so we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to bring in the guys next to us. They're big horse guys, and I guarantee you they got a pile of horse manure over there is bigger than some people's house, I promise you. Yeah. And so we're not going to run out. We're going to keep on blending these things in. We're going to keep on working this dirt. And as a matter of fact, the real talk is the whole community needs that dirt. There's only so much we're going to be able to use out of here. Yeah. And so is my buddy that, that even owns the lawn mowing service over here. He's going to be coming through and he's going to be getting trailer loads where he was bringing trailer loads out. He's going to be taking trailer loads back into town. Yeah. And hopefully we get everybody's soil built up like that. That's what we're really after is a real community style farm where people can come out. My daughter showed animals and we would love for the people that can't do that in their life, to be able to come out and be hands-on with our farm, get these longhorns in, and we're getting ready to start showing these longhorns and these calves and things. The New Mexico Longhorn Association's reached out. Looks like we'll be taking these longhorns up and being part of the New Mexico State Fair Show.
Oh, good.
And so we're really not just sticking into the industry. We want to reach out to everybody.
Yeah.
There's no telling how many people we can touch up there at the fair with these longhorns and get them into our store.
Yeah, powered by cannabis,
Yeah. Or powering cannabis.
Yeah, powering cannabis for sure. And so I guess to the second question, are you going to let, like customers or have somebody name the new cattle that you got, or?
Yeah, we've got some new ones coming out. I'm really trying to get a design on this thing's what I'm after. So our farm is called Bad Manor Farms and Bad Manor Longhorns.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they're all registered. So as they're coming out right now and these two babies hit the ground, we are going to need some Bad Manor names.
For sure. That's dope. And, I hope you guys, take some suggestions. What's up, Gina?
No, I was just thinking they got to come up with creative names for the cattle and then use those names for the product.
Oh, there you go. 2 in 1,
yeah, there you go.
That's a good one. Have some cultivar names.
It's hard to get the name thing going because to catch names that are going to continue on and on and on, whether it be male or female, is really hard. I've looked at doing it with celebrities. I've actually looked at doing it with strains. But my fear with the strains is the Texas Longhorn Association is probably not going to appreciate me showing up with a trailer full of longhorns all named after Granddaddy Pert, So,
that's fair.
Well, vice versa. You can name the strains after the cattle.
That's true. That is true, actually. I had a dog named Kush for the longest time, and I was in the Army. And so it kind of went backwards because the first time I took him to the vet was on base. So everybody in there was a military member, and he was a little puppy in my arms, and a little nurse comes out, and she reads the name. She's like, Kush? And I thought I was going to get in trouble. I just got applause. One dude was like, yes, and started clapping. I was like, what is going on? Like, the rooms were full, and these soldiers were just cheering for my dog's name.
I mean, would you smoke some Old Bessie?
I might smoke some Old Bessie.
Old Bessie.
Bessie. Yeah. Some old genetics from back in the day.
Yeah.
And then I have another dog now. Her name's Tangy. So I get it. It's appropriate in some environments, but other environments, people are like, what does it mean? Or they call it tangy.
Yeah. I looked at doing terpenes, but terpenes is way too hard. You wouldn't be able to pronounce half of them.
Yeah, beta carotene. Yeah, good luck on that one.
Look at her in the pasture. Yeah, that'd be tough.
It's like, oh, get limonene over here. Shit, Pinene got out again.
Yeah, it happens.
Right. So, and that's very unique, but it's very New Mexico at the same time. In Alamogordo, we had a bunch of ranches. We don't have as many farms, like growing plants, as we do people ranching cattle and stuff like that. So I ran into more of that. And so it's great that you guys took that aspect of it and said, well, we need cow shit anyway, so let's apply this. And it's a great way to remediate your soil, get more nutrients back in there, especially chicken poop too, and all that good stuff. And of course, you guys are adding all the kinds of other things. So it's a great thing that you guys got going on. And I love the fact that you have community in mind when you're doing this. It's not just a me thing. You realize that this is the whole community out there. And to be honest, I feel like Eastern New Mexico is really more on the community thing than a lot of other parts of the state. I've noticed too. And Hobbs was actually more welcoming on the eastern part of New Mexico to cannabis than I actually thought was going to be the case. Because when we had the town hall, we were under the impression it was going to be like very restrictive. And so when we asked you guys at the town hall, we got opposite. It was like, actually, they were pretty willing to work with us. And we're like, really? Wow, that's surprising. Like Eastern New Mexico. Oh, all right, good for you.
Yeah.
So
it's been pretty good down here. I'm not gonna lie. We are out there. We're growing real hard. We've put a bunch of money in this thing, a bunch, and we love what we do. But the number one thing is is our friends. With the strain gardens here, the hydroponic store that we own, the other growers that are around here, the other 5 or 6 that are right here in town. I grew up with them. We all went to school together. Yeah. And so, we still go out and hang out and we smoke. We see each other, talk to each other on the phone all the time. If CCD's in town, man, I'm calling the other one and we're talking. Yeah. 6 or 8 of us are coming together to figure out, who's that guy going to next. Well, those guys at the same time, the same respect, once they get their harvest, they buy from us at Strain Gardens, and we get all their cocoa blocks and nutrients and whatever they need, RO filters, lights, and we do a great job. We charge 10% over our invoice because this is not something we were trying to make money off of. This is something we wanted to be able to make these farms around here have what they needed warehoused in my warehouses over here. So we weren't having to bring things in and constantly shipping in pallets of soil for everybody. We house it all right here, and we give them a great price as a partnership. And then at the same time, once they get their harvest down, we put their flower in our stores. They get their own logos. We have their own spot. And if we're working together from the hydroponic store, then you get a spot in our retail store.
That's cool, man. That is very community driven, and the fact that, it's like growing with old buddies is like even cooler. I have a friend in Alamogordo. He has a farm out there too, El Lumbre Farms. I went to school with him and he pitched with his brother in baseball, all that good stuff. And it's great to go visit his farm and just kind of shoot the bull, figure out. He actually went with me to Santa Fe to help save drive-thrus a couple years ago when I was up there doing that, when they were trying to get rid of the drive-thrus in New Mexico. It was me and Jeffrey Castillo from High Lonesome. Just us went up there. One other cat, met us afterwards, but he got there when the vote was happening. He didn't get to go down and talk to the senators and stuff like we did. So, it's great to have contacts like that for sure, because you can just get on the phone and be like, yo, this is going on, blah, blah, blah. Cool, we're out. But it's cooler because you are in the community. Like these guys, they live in different cities. One's in Silver, one's in Alamogordo, and I'm in Cruces. But the fact that you're able to have that community there is more rare in the New Mexico cannabis industry that I've seen lately than not, because you don't see as many people communicating that way, like, hey, CCD's in town, this and that, blah, blah, blah. They're more concerned with competition. And that's one thing I've noticed about you guys, is it just seems like you aren't really worried about anyone else other than your community and yourself. And to be honest, that kind of seems the way that you need to operate anyway. Like, don't worry about so much about what your competitors are doing. Just do what you do. And if someone copies you, that means you're doing a good job. You know what I mean?
Keep doing it. Because they're just following along. And, like I told you before, one thing that gets everybody flustered around here is they'll see somebody copy us or do something or say something or whatever. And you just got to stay in your zone. You can't worry about what everybody else is doing. If you can stay on your consistency all day long. Again, I've owned a lot of businesses. I've learned a lot of lessons at this thing. Consistency is everything. Your customers want to see it. Your products want to see it. And if you can continue those on running like that, you're going to build the biggest platform you've ever had.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And there's a bunch of people, that need to hear that for sure. That's great motivational advice, especially for someone that has many business ventures under their belt, and that is 100% right. Just worry about what you're doing, what you have to do, because there's too many people out there, worried about what their partner, what the dude 5, buildings down is doing. And he's trying to do everything in his power to make sure that guy goes out of business. But while he's doing that, he's falling behind on every single trend and every single thing that's happening. He's getting left behind while worrying. And that who knows? That guy probably doesn't even know that other dude exists. It's like Australia versus America, one-sided beef kind of thing. Like you could just set yourself up for failure from the beginning by just being a hater. And so instead of just worrying about your business, what you have to do, you're going to worry about someone else. And that's where a lot of people actually fail in this industry. Is they're too worried about everything and anything outside of their business and outside of their control. You just have to stay in your lane in that sense, and just move how you can. Try to be a good business person and a partner in your sense. A good business partner as well, because it seems like you guys have a pretty good relationship out there with a lot of people, and that's really good to hear. And it's relieving to hear too, because for the longest time I was like, man, it's really hard to meet people who are serious about business here in cannabis in New Mexico, or even willing to trust these people with what we have going on and everything like that. So it's good to see that, and it's something that I hope will start bleeding into the rest of the industry, where people see, oh, we don't have to be straight competitors and hate each other. We can help each other out while at the same time being great competitors at the same time too. It's okay to be friends with a competitor. I mean, look at Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. They were friends until Steve Jobs died. Don't get me wrong, they get mad at each other sometimes, but that's just the human aspect of things. But at the end, they'll talk about it and all that good stuff. But it seems like you guys have a really great thing going on there in the eastern part of New Mexico. And man, I can't wait to see what else you guys are, going to be putting on, especially once you start expanding more towards the southern part of eastern New Mexico.
One thing about this industry that I feel wholeheartedly about is there shouldn't be any competition. You know, this industry was built out of love and compassion, plain and simple. And that's why I entered this industry. And it wasn't to see, you know, chase down the next person or be the next baddest or anything. It was to do what this industry is supposed to do, take care of one another, right? And we've seen this thing from time to time, messing with other dispensaries, other grows, purchasing and coming back and forth. There's a very huge line of disrespect out there. And competition wise, I guess, chips on their shoulder or whatever it may be. And we just don't play. We don't play into that. We don't have to. We want to work together. If we can't work together and be kosher, then we just don't need to. It's just all there is to it. There's nothing to force anything. We're here to party, man. Plain and simple. We're here to have a good time and love each other. And I don't know what people can't get that through their damn heads. You know, they got to make this thing freaking hard.
They do, man.
You know, it's like you go over and it's all competition. And again, our oil field guys, if my sales guys in the oil field are not calling my competition, they're screwed up. If they're not taking our competition to breakfast or lunch, they screwed up. Because that competition can't do everything. They don't know everything. And when y'all can work together and cover a base, when this guy gets in a bind, y'all sewed the whole deal up.
100%, man. You know, and who knows where that guy could help you out in the future too, as well, on something. You know, they
may come to work for you. He may decide that other place is a POS, man, and be right ready to jump ship with you.
Right, exactly.
About, you know,
man, I dig it. You know, and I dig the mottos. You know, what you guys live by and everything. That's great. You know, because we need more of that in the industry. You know, like you look at places like Sunland Park. Oh God, it is cutthroat down there. Those
it's a war zone.
Oh my God, if they were ants and one died, they would just eat the other one, essentially, kind of thing. It's bad, man. It is so bad. Like, I guess an example is one of them shut down for 24 hours one day. I guess is a rental dispute or something. And the news even covered it. Like the local news stations are covering it. It's like, oh, this dispensary shut down. That whole day, all of the surrounding dispensaries were in their parking lot passing out flyers to the customers that were coming in and, seeing that it was closed because they didn't announce it. It was bad, dude. They were like almost getting in fights over territory of that parking lot. Like, it's crazy, like, places like that. So seeing something like this gives me hope, because places like Sunland Park, where it's just so cutthroat, you're just like, oh man, I really wish more people would work together. But it is happening, just not at the rate I wish it would and, could. Because even as a hash maker, I try to work with and talk to all the other hash companies. I was hanging out with Couchlock the other day, like I was kicking it with those guys, talking with them, and, like, we make the same product. There's no point in us to not get along and figure out what's going on and this and that, because we can help each other in the end,
Yes. Like we ought to be enjoying each other. And, if I can turn you on or them on or anybody else onto some better terp profiles or something else, I can't do everything, man.
Yeah.
But if we can build those relationships and get each other stickers on each other's products and work together and show each other, we're going to win, man.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, even the other day, Jeff was selling his clones over at the farmer's market. And there was a cultivar we had washed last year, and these were some that he had. And there was another farmer that was there, and he was picking up a bunch of clones from him, and he had seen one. I said, that one dumps. And I could have not told him that and made him figure it out. And since I told him, hey, that one dumps, bro, you should probably get more of that. He did. He got like 50 of that one. And like, it didn't hurt me at all, because like, we didn't grow that, we just washed it, and he's going to wash it and figure it out anyway. I might as well let him know, hey, dude, that one's a washer. You may want to get more of that. And so why not? Like we're helping each other out in the end, and who knows, he might be able to help us out in the future or something else too.
I show him, bring you a fat jar and say thank you, huh?
But shit, who knows? We can only hope.
Either way you go, it was worth it. Huh?
Yeah, we can only hope, at least that. I'll take a fat jar, hell yeah.
Chad would not be opposed.
Oh, never. I'm never opposed to free weed. I don't think most of us are. But man, that's great. And thank you so much for sharing all this information about your company, man. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with anyone before we start moving on to our next topic?
No, sir. We look forward to working with everybody. And if anybody ever has any questions, I'll run a lot of hard numbers. I do a lot of hard things. And we've, between what my wife does and our secretary, Justin, here, we've got an amazing team, and we would love to help smaller mom and pops or anybody else. We've got a little consulting thing here. Got a lot of experience in business, from QuickBooks, accounting, anything that may be. We're open for questions and helping and building relationships.
Definitely, man. And I appreciate that. Hopefully someone takes you up on that offer, especially over there in the eastern part of New Mexico. I know there's, a lot of shit happens in that area and that I don't even know about. So even if someone's struggling, and, I hope they can swallow their pride and, ask for some help, because sometimes that's all you need to do.
We've got the hydroponic store again. There's a lot of things that we can do to help these other growers. We take advantage of it. Dang, I mean, we're offering it. We don't know everything, but we can sure come in there and put you in the right spot. You're more than welcome. Our facilities are always open as well. So we bring people in and they come and watch our people wash. We're constantly bringing in people, and I take tours from here to Tatum. It's about a 2.5-hour tour, and take them to each one of the facilities, show them what everybody's doing. We go in and see them making gummies and making chocolates and washing rosin. We're really open to carrying everybody around to help them succeed again.
Yeah, definitely. And I really appreciate that, man. And, hopefully that will kind of start taking off a little bit more. We can only hope. So with that being said, where can people find you guys in real life and online?
Nomadcanico.com. Amber just changed the Nomad headquarters and Nomad brand on Facebook. And I'm not real familiar with the Instagram stuff, but she's in there on that somewhere as well. We would love for y'all to anybody come down and see our facilities, make some time to come in and see what we're all about, visit with us.
I'd love to. Being the hash people we are, we have to go to the eastern part of New Mexico at some point anyway. So I'm sure I'll find myself in Hobbs, and I'll definitely hit you guys up, because you guys were very hospitable the first time with the town hall. And it makes sense, after getting to know you more. It's like, okay, that's just the kind of people they are. So I really appreciate it, man. And yeah, I look forward to checking out. And I love checking out grow facilities and washing places. So I'll be down definitely when I'm there. Cool. Well, I appreciate it, man. And with that being said, let's move on to our next topic, which kind of involves you guys too. And this might be, something that other people are dealing with as well. So this has to deal with the inspections going on in New Mexico. And I know I talked about we needed, certain inspections to happen, this and that, and certain places weren't getting inspected. But now we're having an issue of over inspections, especially at certain locations. It doesn't seem that they're treating certain businesses the same as others, meaning they're inspecting more places than it feels like they really should. And I get it. If they get a complaint, they're usually that's the reason why they go to inspect if it's not the inspection time, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the thing where we're going back to, just mind your own damn business and stop trying to mess with people, because, you could be doing yourself more harm than good because you're not paying attention to your business. You're too busy paying attention to the guy 5 buildings down who you're just calling the CCD on because you want him to get shut down. I've seen that happen and go wrong several times. But it's not fair to the other businesses who are doing the best thing that they could. And I guess you guys have told me before too that you dealt with a lot of inspections, the past year or two. From what I'm understanding, you guys had quite a few the past couple of years, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we were catching a couple a month, to be honest with you.
That's ridiculous.
And it's just not acceptable in my book. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to play that game, And I understand, and the whole thing about the licensing is to make sure that we have products on the market that are tested and done right and safe within New Mexico. And I'm all for that. I believe that even in the Texas battle over there, I believe whatever comes out of that, they need to be testing every single thing that comes out of every producer, just to keep everybody safe. Well, but to bring in these inspectors the way they have, untrained and disrespectful, not for me, dude. Again, I'm from the oil field, man, and when disrespect comes across the line, we got to fix it. And for a while we allowed them to come in and tell us, these are wrong and this is wrong. And they were really cool at first, and we were learning from them and trying to get to where they wanted to be and make the whole industry how it was. But it seems like it just continued to get worse. They would hire more people. And instead of training the ones that they had and making them leaders of anything, I mean, they were still just falling. Every time they went to do an inspection, they were falling on their face. Yeah. They bring in more of them and stack more on top of them. They never ever set a baseline, a SOP or things that people can't cross. They just opened the doors and gave them a list of people to go see. Yeah. And then you're exactly right. You got a bunch of snitches running around causing you problems. I've got a list of them that some of our vendors have come over and said, hey, this guy over here in Carlsbad, he snitches on you. He's got a group of people that reports y'all once a week, and it's going to get them beat up. Is what's going to happen, man. Because again, we don't play that game.
Yeah.
But then the rest of these inspectors that want to continue to come through here, Gerard come through and was very disrespectful to my people over here. And I draw a line, dude. He's lucky I was gone that day, or I might have thrown him on his face. I don't care about that charge, and I don't care about that license anymore. He come over here and disrespected 4 of our women for 4 hours. No, I'm not playing that. And so from now on, those inspectors that have been coming in, they can talk to me.
Yeah.
If they want to be disrespectful to somebody and they want to put people down, I'm right in your face, Bubba.
Yeah.
And the last few times, they haven't even wanted to talk no more. I stand right. I mean, they don't want to stand next to me because I'm standing on top of them breathing.
Yeah.
But when they can sit there and they can pull out somebody's packaging and say, this thing fails. You tell me how that fails. Oh, well, I can't. Then it doesn't fail.
Yeah.
Well, then you shouldn't be selling it, is what he tells us. Is it recalled? No, sir. Then you're not doing your job. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Did this come from you or your supervisors? Or where did these things come from? And those inspectors would start spinning in circles. Well, I am here for the inspection, but it's not really my decision. It comes from up above. And so then you could start seeing that nobody had any backbone in this deal. Those inspectors are in there running their freaking mouth and then running to Daddy up north is all they were doing. Well, Daddy up north don't even want to get on the phone and talk to nobody. He doesn't want to hold any meetings. See, they don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
So it was just a constant battle of who was who. Every time the inspector showed up, who was in charge in here. And we finally had to draw a line on that deal. They come in and messed with us a few more times, and Amber started putting it out in the social media that we were catching inspection after inspection on these deals, and they kept coming on in through.
Yeah.
And so I guess by the time it was done, I really think that little meeting that they had, I threw a fit out in the front parking lot to that inspector. And I told him that he's not ever going to get anything out of us until he puts his people on the microphone, tells us what's wrong with this packaging and how these things need to be approached and done. I don't know. They haven't come back in and messed with us much anymore. I honestly think it's because we stood up to them. We weren't going to put up with their BS. And we talked to some consultants. I feel like we're a pretty good consulting team ourselves. We've been through a lot of it. But I went ahead and listened to about 3 or 4 different consultants. And every single one of those consultants said, well, what you need to do is change your SOPs and your packaging so that the state is good with it. Well, I'm not here to conform.
Yeah.
I never was. And this industry is not about conforming to nothing. There's nothing wrong with our package. Mm-hmm. We're not going to change it until they make us change it. And you're not going to come in here and disrespect my people not one more time.
Yeah.
Or we're going to go do something different up north. Promise you.
Definitely. And I'm on that fight with you guys. The whole packaging, the attack on packaging has been bullshit.
Absolutely.
And
makes me mad. Sorry, I'm getting frustrated now.
You do packaging too at the same time. And I'm like, come on, man, this is ridiculous. A lot of the inspectors have been making shit up. And that's what pisses me off, is when they start making things up and saying, well, this is the law. I spent until like 3 a.m. looking for this damn law and rule that one inspector fucking told us. And I was like, there's nothing in here. And then I found out they don't even have, finalized product defined in the first place. Mm-hmm. So like, how are you going to tell me I need something when you don't even have it defined on what it is and how, whatever? Like, how do you want me to navigate this if in your own rules and laws, it doesn't state any of this? And so I'm with you on that. You have to be able to fight for your industry as well and for your business. You can't just roll over and say, yes, daddy, because that's how we end up with overregulation where we're at right now and bad laws and where we're going, because the bad regulations add to bad laws down the road. And so we need to get to the point where we're deregulating this industry where we can, because a lot of the stuff that we're doing doesn't make any fucking sense anywhere. Like, like having certain labels 10 times on one thing, or these tiny little labels that no one reads, that are really just for the state. The state should have all the information they need in their database. They shouldn't have to harass us for everything when they get it. If it's labeled, if the number is there, they should be satisfied with that. It shouldn't be these crazy things where it was off by a 0.5 millimeter or 1/2 inch or whatever else they're trying to, get us on. And so I'm with you on that. I hear so many stories from people around the state similar to yours that it pisses me off when I hear them more, because I know exactly what kind of dudes these are. These are the guys that think that they're like cops or have some kind of authority, and so then they treat people like this when they're just an inspector. They're not a cop. They don't have a cop badge. They can't make arrests. It's
couldn't become a cop.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you want to be a cop, go be a cop, dude.
Yeah.
Don't try to, mess with people who are just trying to make a living selling a plant. This is a little ridiculous. We have to get past the point of the stigma of cannabis and these inspectors. And I feel like the state is just hiring people who do not like cannabis. And to be honest, that's kind of unfortunate. What's going on, Gina?
No, I was just going to say we got a couple of questions in the chat.
Sure.
From Panda Bear 86.
Yeah, Pam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She just had a couple. One of her last question was: Are the inspectors private, or they're hired by the state? And I think you just answered.
They're state employees.
They're state employees. And then she was saying: Is there a checklist that inspectors follow, or is it just random things? And does malicious reporting happen often?
I mean, you want to answer that one, Jason? I don't want to answer for you.
Yeah,
on that one.
there's a specific list, and I have that list,
Yeah.
and we go through it. I have a huge book. I mean, there's nothing wrong with our book. They've even come in, and we pull that book out, and they're like, "Oh man, we don't want to go through this thing. It's absolutely perfect."
Yeah.
But what they've done is they'll go around and nitpick. Oh, well, you have this, and so one guy we've got that'll come in, and he'll take our nugs off of the display. Oh, well, you don't have a sticker underneath the display. You don't have to have a sticker underneath the display. It doesn't have to be, well, that's how I want it. I don't care how you want it.
Yeah.
I care how the law reads, and the law reads it can be in the drawer underneath that display nut.
Exactly.
And so it's I don't care what they want. They all come in with their opinion and not their rules and bylaws.
And I tell people, you should start approaching it more of questioning them. Is this a opinion or is this rule and law? Because those are two different things, night and day. Your opinion can be whatever the fuck you want. You can tell me you want unicorns on my shelf. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it. But if the law says I need a unicorn on the shelf, then that's something different. And, people need to, I hate to say this, find a fucking backbone and start questioning these people when they start bringing them stuff that is blatant bullshit. And so
we recorded that last one with that inspector in there, and we had the flight bites up on the deal. I recorded every single bit of it. Amber posted it, and I specifically asked him, what's wrong with it? He said, I can't tell you. He couldn't tell me. On specific, there was 3 sitting there. He could not tell me what was wrong with them, but he wrote me up for it.
And that's ridiculous. And I've read, the rules and everything on the packaging when it comes to children. It's pretty specific on the children part. It doesn't say it can't be a cartoon. It just can't be a cartoon that's meant for kids. So Barney, Mickey Mouse. And to be honest, you'll probably get sued by using any of these in your packaging without permission, from the companies to start with, which is a bad idea. What's up?
Oh, Mickey Mouse is...
the 1940 something one or whatever? The 1921?
It's pretty clear.
What is it, Steamboat Willie or whatever? Yeah.
I still wouldn't use it, but...
Yeah, I guess you could technically use that one. But, like in New Mexico, you couldn't in the New Mexico cannabis industry because that was a children's show. Now you have adult cartoons. South Park. I don't know if you guys remember this one, Stripperella. I bring that one up because that one was very controversial back in the day. It had Pamela Anderson as the voice as the stripper, and she was a stripper superhero.
I recall that one.
Yeah. Boondocks is another great show. One of my favorites of all time. Most anime that we see these days also as well, meant for adults, not meant for kids, or, 18 above, whatever. Mm-hmm. You can argue that, you could make a cartoon that is not meant for kids, it's meant for adults, and then that should be okay. But the state is trying to make it seem another way. Any cartoon is bad. I even saw them go after someone for a photograph of a s'more. And I don't know if you guys dealt with that one too, but the flight bites, the s'mores, they literally went after people for that. And they had them put a fucking stupid stick, like a sticker over it that covers it. And I was like, how is that meant for children? I love s'mores. An 8-year-old loves s'mores. Just because a 10-year-old loves s'mores doesn't mean that it's meant for a kid. It's just a food item that we all tend to like.
Oh, I was also going to say make a distinction between a cartoon and an animation or animated movie, because anybody that's watched any Ralph Bakshi movies from back in the day, without Nobody knows that one, do they?
Yeah, I'm lost on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know that one, sir?
Shows
Do you know
some
Ralph?
age.
Do you know,
Okay, he knows. You lost me on that one, though.
just look for clips of something called Wizards, and you'll understand the whole thing about that.
Okay.
Pam did have one more thing when she said that when you're written up, is there any way to have the ability to fight that or to dispute any claims when you're written up?
No, we've even got to the point to where on some of that stuff, I don't even want to sign it. At the very beginning, when this whole thing went on, my deal was, they said, well, if you don't sign it, then that's clause that you're, hiding something or whatever. No, it's not. We wouldn't sign it because I want you to carry that to your boss, tell him I wouldn't sign it, and then have a sit down with me and let's discuss it.
Yeah.
And it still didn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you sign it or don't sign it. They're out doing their jobs, writing you up over some BS anyway.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that it's come to this point. They could be doing so much more and going after people who are actually an issue, because you haven't been shut down. You haven't gotten fees and shit. So obviously you're not doing anything wrong. So why focus on somebody who you have failed to prove is doing anything significantly wrong, and focus on people who you could find that are doing stuff that's wrong? Because focusing on someone who you want to bust, but you can't because they're not doing anything wrong, just makes you miss out on the people who are doing things wrong and are the ones that are the issue in the industry that we do need to get rid of. Like, the people bringing in out-of-state product, to their retails and stuff like that, and getting it in the system. We all know that BioTrack is very flawed, and that's how they get it in. But they should be trying to find those people versus the people that they just cannot find anything wrong with and they keep going back to. And I get it. Some of them are because of the haters, calling in and, making stuff up. But, they should really just focus on the places that are the actual issues. If you went to this place last week and it was as good as it's going to get, and you found maybe one minute thing that you were being nitpicky about, you should probably maybe spend a few minutes there and focus on the other place that is probably going to be more of an issue, or a place that you heard is going to be more of an issue, because you're just wasting time. They're wasting taxpayer money. They're wasting everybody's, everything. And so that's unfortunate that it's happening. And, we need to talk about this because you guys aren't the only ones dealing with this. I hear all the time. Just the other day, one of my buddies told me they got them for something stupid. He said, well, this wasn't in your SOP. And they said, well, it is. It's just it wasn't printed out. Let me get it for you. He got them because it wasn't printed out. They had to have the SOP printed out on physical paper, and because he didn't have that correction printed out at that time, he got docked. He was like, well, can I print it out? He's like, no. And I'm like, that's so stupid, dude. He's right there. It's on the computer screen. He just has to hit print.
Yes. And the thing about that is, and if you'll go listen, I recorded that whole last one where I jumped all over that guy and told him he needed to get his bosses and we needed to have a meeting. And it was a week later they had that meeting. Yeah. But that whole thing right there is a total waste of everybody's freaking time on. Yeah. The whole thing with them coming in at that point, you can kind of listen to. I told that guy getting his bosses involved, but I told him at the same time, listen, what I want you to do is next time you go to Roswell and you're going to go and inspect Roswell, I want you to call me, man. I want you to say, hey, Jason, I'm about to run through your shit in Roswell. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, go ahead. And when you're done, I want you to call me and tell me what I need to fix. But to call me up or give everybody straight anxiety that you're in town and you're sitting out there at the farm and you're running your mouth, that absolutely ain't going to work for us.
No, it's unprofessional to start with. Like, so unprofessional on many levels. Like, I don't know why they're doing this fear factor thing where they're trying to treat us like we're criminals and not business owners. Like, and I've learned recently, even, with certain grants and stuff, cannabis doesn't qualify for it because we're federally illegal, but also like liquor, alcohol, and tobacco, and like adult stuff like, sex stores, they also don't qualify for a lot of things too. So we're not the only one that's discriminated against when it comes to certain things. It's other industries I'm finding out too. But, now we have, on top of that, we have these people running around trying to, tell us we're doing things wrong where we're not, making things up, thinking that they can just make up laws and rules right then and there, and we have to follow them. And for the most part, most people are scared of them, and they're going to abide by however. And I think that's the reason why they try to treat you guys that same way. And the reason why things change is because you didn't let them. If you would have let them, it would probably be a different story. Because people I talk to is like, oh, well, we just don't want to poke the bear, this and that. I'm like, dude, the bear is stabbing you in the fucking eye. You need to do something. Like, it comes to
the bear's taking all your tax money and lawing you down. He's wearing you out.
Yeah. It gets to the point where the bear's fucking you up, dude. You need to do something or you're not going to make it. Like you have to fight back. So, I appreciate you, coming on the show and talking about your experiences when it comes to this and everything, man. I'm sorry that you've been dealing with that. And it's unfortunate that this is happening, but I do feel a change is coming. But people like you that fight and are willing to fight are the reason why it's going to change. And so if you are any of these people that are dealing with it, fight. Jason, I don't know
I'll fight for you. Call me up, man. I'll come over to your facility. I'll take notes and I'll go straight to the state for you. I don't really care because I'm not going to let them run us over. That's not what we're here for. We're not here to start this industry to be punks.
Thank you. I was just going to ask you that. Would you be willing to help people out if
Absolutely.
they were? Yeah.
If somebody's got a problem, I'll go step up. That whole flight bite thing, I wasn't going to lay that down. Those guys have been doing a great job through the state over here. And for them to get beat up and not get any answers, nah. I don't got time for that. I love to get involved and cause problems. I promise you. I've been doing it since I was in elementary school. And so I'm very good at it too. And so, when the state started this deal and they were saying, oh, it's y'all. I don't know if you know exactly how far I went with this to really piss the state off. But I wrote an IPRA. Do you know what that is?
No, what's that?
An IPRA is an investigation of public records.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to teach y'all a little something on this deal, okay? If they ever get over there running their mouth like they did to us, and we've been fighting with them for the last year and a half, and this last time they came over here and they sat and they took 4 of our girls, they took a 100-pound drum and they made them take a coffee can and scoop it all out and weigh it one piece by one piece, every coffee can, and then dumped it in an unsanitary vessel. 100 pounds of my flour, right? And so we can't get any answers out of these guys. They screwed up part of our rosin stuff through BioTrack. And so every time it was like just blamed on us. And so with the flight bites things, and you could tell that every time you saw the inspector, they had conversations about you. Oh, well, we had your product inside of our memos, and we've been talking about y'all's products through our text messaging and what have you. So I decided to just gather all that information as much as possible. And so in the state of New Mexico or any governing law, you've got the IPRA, and in every governing body, there's somebody responsible for it. The Cannabis Control Division has a lady. All her job is IPRA, finding public records. And so I went through and wrote a huge document about I want every public record that states Nomad's name, Amber's name, anything to do with Gnomad, any one of the flight bites, any one of their packaging. I went after other vendors. I want to know what is the conversation on this packaging right now. And do you know that it took that attorney? They finally had to take it away from the IPRA lady, give it to the New Mexico state attorney. They come through and redacted a whole bunch of stuff they didn't want us to see, talking about all these other vendors, right? But the best part of all of it, do you know it took them 6 weeks to gather that information for me?
Are you serious?
So you want to come over here and waste our time? Well, we just wasted 6 weeks of your attorney's time gathering nothing but text messages, emails, and nonsense just so it can all be sent to us. Do you think I looked at it? I didn't care nothing about it. I didn't care nothing about everything that they sent because I knew it was trash anyway if they were redacting. But for the fact that it took them 6 weeks, I appreciate their time wasted. I hope they know how we feel.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd like to have a great relationship with the state agencies, but they don't want to have a really good relationship with us sometimes. And when it comes to that, we have to go to measures to kind of do something about it. And hopefully it worked and they stopped fucking with you guys. And have they stopped fucking with the flight bite guys?
Yeah. Okay, we actually talked to them. They left them alone. They're back up to their old packaging too, and everybody's right in. As a matter of fact, we got one more inspection after all that happened, back over to Tatum, and he pulled flight bites, the Gnomad gummies, and one other one that we have problems with, and he wrote us perfect across all of them. And what I was going to tell you earlier, so that anybody's listening on this, if they're coming in and they're giving you those little mistakes like on your SOPs and writing it, they're only doing that so they can come back within 30 days. That leaves the door open for them. Mm-hmm. If they don't give you, if they give you a green light, they can't come back for a year.
Yeah.
And so they got to find that little spot to be able to keep coming back. And if
they're supposed to give you 30 days to fix the
problem. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so if you listen to that interview of that inspector that came in, I think Amber put that on our website along with all the IPRA stuff. I told that guy, I said, all this BS you're coming in here with, it just brings you right back to us. And I don't want you here.
Yeah.
I don't need you here. you know. And so since then, a lot of that stuff has dropped. And to be honest with you, I told him, I said, I know when you're around. I consult for a lot of companies. We do a lot of things around here. And so I know when you're here, and it's in your best interest if you'll speak up. Yeah. And, you know, since then, actually, he's come through and he's inspected 2 of our facilities that I consult for. And he's actually called me and said, hey, Jason, I'm fixing to run through Lovington. Can you believe that? Hey, but that's the respect we ask for, though, right? And so I do, like you said a while ago, I do think it's getting better. We have a lot of work to do with it. Yeah. And I think it comes from their superiors. Their leaders are trash. Yeah. That's all there is to it. And if they can get themselves structured and in line, I think we'll all be fine.
I agree too, because, you know, I spoke with the director of RLD during the legislative process during that bullshit, you know, packaging bill. And he pretty much gave me the FU. You know, I offered, hey, you know, it'd be great to work with you guys on stuff like this when it comes up in the future versus just surprising people. And also, it'd be nice if you guys would actually maybe go after alcohol, because their packaging is very kid friendly. I mean, you have literal Sunny D in the same damn packaging as the regular kid Sunny D. The only difference is it's hard Sunny D, you know. And so, like, they're not doing anything. His bullshit excuse was, well, it's federally legal and we can't do too much about that. I'm like, no. States are allowed to create their own rules and regulations when it comes to alcohol. When I went to basic training in Oklahoma, I lived in Oklahoma for a little bit too. On my, parent visit day or something like that, when you graduate, I was hanging out with my parents and we went to go get some beer. And the beer was like 2% or something like that or less. And I was like, why is that? I come to find out in Oklahoma that you're only allowed like 2% beer or something. I don't know if it's changed since then, but at the time, and I was confused. So you can definitely make your own rules and laws in your state. It's just they refuse to, and they want to go after us versus the alcohol. I don't know if there's an alcohol lobby paying people or what, but when I had that conversation with the director of RLD, I got the same, you know, kind of FU mentality. And to be honest, I was being upfront with him, like, look, the reason why this didn't pass is you didn't consult us whatsoever. You surprised us, you surprised the legislature, and now we need to figure out how to work with each other. Instead of working with us, now they're just trying to fuck everybody over. So, you know, what I heard, I don't know how true this is just what I heard, is that the packaging thing, he wants it to be his legacy before he leaves. I don't know if he is leaving or if that is the case, but that's what I've heard. I don't know how true it is, but
his legacy is leaving. You know what I'm saying? That will be set in his legacy, because that packaging crap that he's got in his mind is never going to work.
No,
it won't work.
No.
And they're sitting back, running their mouth, saying they already know they're going to get sued. These are the people that are in the position of leadership in the state of New Mexico, saying that they already know they're going to get sued. Yeah. Well, so that means our tax dollars are fixing to go towards that, right? Mm-hmm. That's just the loser they are.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
It just doesn't make sense.
They want to run something. Mm-hmm. And these guys, I guarantee you, they've been picked on their whole life, you know, and that's why they're in the position they are right now. They want to be somebody in life, just like what you said. And it ain't going to work for them.
No, it isn't. And it's not working for them. You know, luckily with people like you fighting for it.
Hard on them. Yeah.
Yeah, right. There ain't no reason to do this. Like, you know, we're trying to abide by the law as much as anyone else, but you guys are making it impossible by making shit up that's not even a law, rule, or anything. So, you know, like, it's really hard to.
If it's not in that black and white, I don't even want to hear it.
I'm the same way.
I've already read through every bit of it. The rest, anything other than that, is your personal opinion.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Well, I appreciate the conversation on this, man. I appreciate your advocacy, your fighting. I didn't realize how much you were fighting until this conversation, but I appreciate it. And to be honest, some of it's kind of hilarious. And
enjoy it.
You know,
I get a kick out of it too. I really do. I love ruffling some feathers, and if they deserve it, man, they better just look out, because I don't really have nothing else to do, man. I kind of float around and do what I want. You know what I mean? So when something like that presents itself, and I feel like sticking up for others, let's get it. You know?
Yeah, and I'm the same way. You know, or else I wouldn't, you know, be here. Going on 13, 14 years doing the same thing. So I'm with you on it, man. So if you ever need help or anything, let me know. I'm more than willing to get the information out and everything, and, you know, showing up for something too.
You too, and getting down here, you know, our doors are open, and we've got a lot of community contacts. So we'll go to the other dispensaries and the other vendors, and we'll put a group together, and we'll set this thing down, get it done, and get it done right.
For sure, man. I appreciate it. Well, that's all I have for this conversation and this topic. We've got one more left. Do you have anything else before we move on to our very last topic?
No, sir.
All right, cool. I'm going to try to keep this one quick. I'm just going to update everybody what's going on with the DEA stuff and the DEA hearing, trying to reschedule all of cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Because right now, as you guys know, FDA approved cannabis and state legalized or state medical cannabis is Schedule 3 already. This is to move all of cannabis. So, which I have my own opinions on that. So on Monday is when they started the hearing. So we're on actually day 3 of the hearing right now. I don't know if they're done or what's being said. They're not allowing any audio, recording, or media inside. And pretty much everything we're finding out is after the fact from quotes of people that were there. So everything I'm telling you is from someone else being told. I didn't hear this directly, which is unfortunate. I like hearing things directly from the source, so that way I know exactly what was said. But on Monday, it seemed that the DEA was being pro-cannabis for the most part. It's weird because just recently they were in court fighting against cannabis being legal with that gun case, the Hamani case. It's kind of weird to see that. They're like, oh, cannabis is bad, but then you go to this hearing and they're like, oh, well, it has medical benefits, this and that. But at the same time, they were also giving themselves room to deny certain things and to kind of be like, well, we believe it has medical benefits in this setting and this and that. And so on Monday, that's essentially what happened. It was just the DEA was there giving their side of things. They are their proponent on this one. They're not the opponent, even though the only people allowed to the hearing are the opponents outside of the DEA, which is unfortunate. And some people, there was an op-ed I saw, on, I think, Marijuana Moment, where someone is saying this is actually a good thing. And I think, I didn't read it, but I think it was along the same lines as what I said. It was, they're already agreeing with, the majority of the people that cannabis is, okay. And that's why the DEA is being pro. So they're bringing the opponents in to give them their side. Smart Access for Marijuana, they made a video pretty much, trying to say, oh, this is terrible. I can't believe the government's following it, blah, 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 this and that. So not much happened on Monday. We just got the government pretty much giving quotes and stuff, of support and this and that. And it was like support, but not support, because they gave themselves that space, that wiggle room to be like, yeah, but we also, we're okay with it, but not okay with it. It's kind of what they gave me that feel. So yesterday they had the hearing, another one too as well. Now this one is interesting because I believe the DEA had some doctor over there talking about cannabis and pain, how it works for certain this and that, and so that was them also not saying we believe all of cannabis is great, or cannabis can help with many things. They were being specific with pain on this one. Today I have no clue. You guys are gonna have to wait till the update next week or check out my socials when I do update what was said today. I have no clue. But yesterday an interesting thing happened. So one of the opponents of cannabis rescheduling, they didn't like the fact that Human and Health and Services, when they made their decision that cannabis has medical values, they didn't use the same one that the DEA used. The DEA uses a 5-step test or whatever, and I'll tell you guys what each one is in a second. And the HHS used 2. If HHS used DEA's 5-step, it would never pass because of the way it is. And to be honest, I think they set it up, that test, so that way certain drugs would never pass. I think it was that way. So one of the groups, they were pretty much arguing that since they didn't use the old DEA method, then HHS is kind of moot in what they said. So I'll give you guys the 5 tests that DEA uses to determine. The first one is chemistry. The substance chemical makeup must be known and reproducible, meaning you can make it in a lab. Safety, there must be adequate science safety studies. Cannabis is kind of barred on a lot of safeties because of its scheduling, so that kind of screws it in the first place. Efficiency, there must be adequate, well-known controlled studies demonstrating the drug is effective. That's kind of lacking on the cannabis side too, because we're not allowed. Acceptance, it must be accepted by qualified experts in the field. Evidence, the scientific clinical evidence must be widely available. And that's it. That's the 5 steps that or the 5 ones that they use for the DEA. And so cannabis would never have passed that ever. Now, here's what HHS used. Does the substance have widespread current experience with medical use by licensed healthcare practitioners operating under state authorized programs? Yes. And then the second one, is there credible scientific support for at least one of those medical conditions? Yes. And so you can see how much more simpler it is with the HHS one, and DEA is how it's by default, the way they made it, to be very restrictive to certain drugs that they agree with. What's up?
No, it's just asking, is it the DEA or is it the
HHS.
HSS that does the scheduling? It's that DEA is how it works.
So DEA controls what's on the CSA, but HHS can give recommendations, and that's what happened when Biden created that, presidential whatever.
I just want to know, because the whole definition between a Schedule 1 substance is that it has no medical benefit at all.
Yeah.
So if it has some medical benefit, then it shouldn't be a Schedule 1 thing.
Exactly.
So, and that's the whole thing about that. And that is for the entire plant.
Yeah. And that's what some of these groups were arguing too, is that since it was Schedule 1, they should have.
The one question that it needs to be answered there.
Yeah.
And that goes from everything from your CBDs to your hemp to all that stuff. Is there any medical benefit at all? Because I have friends that use CBD to help them sleep or to help them, calm down and relax. All of that. So once again, does the entire thing have any medical benefit? Yes. Okay. It's not Schedule 1.
Yeah, exactly. So what's your, Jason, what's your thoughts on this so far? I'm not sure if you're keeping up with what's going on with the DEA stuff.
I've been watching all of it. It's a dadgum mess. Everybody's really speculating this thing's going to just jump right out and it was going to be done in a year or so. Taxes are going to be lined out and everybody's going to be running with it. I really think this thing's going to get drawn out for the next 3 years, to be honest with you, by the time everybody gets it where they
at least 2.
Yeah.
At that point, the president we have now is going to be gone. Somebody else is going to be stepped in. And so what direction's that kind of thing going to start going for us by the time it's all done?
Yeah.
As long as they'll correct the taxes, I think I'll be cool with it. I don't really care what else they do with it. A lot of people wanted to sit here and vote. We wanted this thing to go legal and get it through the feds and get it through the feds here and there and what have you. And it's just not going to happen like that, man. Mm-hmm. There's just no way that that stuff's even going to be possible. And again, you're talking about bringing in HHS and the rest of those guys. That's the least of their worries. Mm-hmm. Now you're bringing in NMDA or, your Department of Agriculture's, from the United States. That's not going to be any fun for a lot of these farmers. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, true. Dealing with the FDA is not going to be fun for anybody. And I kept telling people that. I'm like, if you go Schedule 3, you're not dealing with the state anymore. You're dealing with the alphabet boys. And you're dealing with it on a total different level than us. They're hands off right now because they're getting their 280E money. Once you get into their realm, it's going to be totally different. The regulations that you're going to have to follow are going to be so strict that it's going to cost you a lot of money. And I told people this years ago, if you are thinking about going federally, Schedule 3 or federally legal, you're going to have to think about, upping your regulations now of your facility to get federally compliant. And we're finding that out now with the Schedule 3 shit that's going on and people applying for it. They're finding out that it's a lot harder and there's a lot more into this than what they thought. And I knew that was going to be the case. Working for the government, in the capacity I did, I knew better than to think that they were just going to make something easy for everyone and it was just going to be, puppy dog kisses and, unicorn farts. It's been anything but.
Well, now they're fixing to be all inside your products and telling you what can be in it and not in it, and they're going to come through those facilities too. It's fixing to get way overboard, and it's going to get very expensive too. Yeah. And as they start opening these up, and they're asking for these companies to come in and start getting onto this registry, the DEA registry right now. Well, that's good, but there's a lot of people that are kind of bucking that. We went ahead and signed up on it. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. If they wanted to know we were selling weed, they'd look at my taxes. It's not like you're going to hide it from not filing on this DEA deal. Yeah. But I think what a lot of people aren't understanding too is once this thing does start clicking, if you're not in that system and moving forward, you just got bottlenecked. Yeah. And so if you're going to sit right here and you're going to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that after I praised wanted everybody to open this thing federally. And now you don't want to comply. If you're going to stay at the back of that program, you're going to be at the back of that program. Yeah. I can guarantee you on that. You're going to be sitting, where your federal numbers and the things that you need to complete are going to be 6 months behind because you waited so long to get involved.
Yeah. And then who knows, at that time, you might not be able to operate at all through the state. Licensing to get to that point, because we don't know what the state's going to change the laws to reflect what the federal government's going to change. We can only help along the way, but, we can only do so much. If the federal government decides to move all cannabis to Schedule 3, then that changes everybody's shit. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys in the know of what's going on with this hearing. We only do the show once a week, so if you don't get the bulk of everything here, check out my socials and Invader Kush on Instagram, Chad Lozano on Facebook and everything, and pretty much Invader Kush everywhere else. Check it out there, and I try to keep everybody as updated as possible. As soon as I hear something, you guys hear. So, Jason, thank you so much for joining me today, man. It was a great conversation. Sorry we went a little bit longer than I thought, but, we had such a great conversation that, I had to keep expanding on it because I was like, damn, he's bringing up some good shit. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your honesty. And to be honest, thank you for your advocacy as well, too. It's helping out and it's making a difference. Hopefully, more people catch on and reach out to you for some help and stuff. And if anything, if they come out to me, I'll just, send them y'all's way.
Yeah. Well, thank you too. Thank you for what you're doing for the industry, and thank you for the service you've done for our country too.
Thank you. I appreciate that, brother. Gino, you got anything before we head out?
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for the questions and everything. We'll be back next week with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. All right, guys. Shoots.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.